So we see how Maiden powers are transferred. We see more character deaths. The fall of Atlas and Mantle, which was a disaster. And then, of course, everybody starts to fall into the void. Oh boy. Now that was the part that I really liked seeing, was just Blake, Ruby, Weiss, and Soy Boy all fall into the void. Poor Neo, she fell with them. And as for the rest, well, I think you all can already imagine that it's a complete and total mess. Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So the finale is finally here after about a damn eon, but it's finally here. And how did it turn out? Yeah, it's more like the good, the bad, and the worst, because it's basically what it was. It was just pretty much a mess all over the place. So let's start it off. So the entire episode started with a content warning. Yeah, no, I'm not even kidding. Content warning. This episode contains themes of death that may be distressing for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Like, are you serious right now? Like, come on. Like, this to me was a joke when I saw it just say content warning. Like, what? It's almost as if the viewers have never seen any previous volumes. In fact, it's almost as if the viewers had just came into this episode not knowing what to expect. I mean, Hazel died in this volume. Salem had her brains completely splattered over the pavement in this volume. You mean to tell me that death is something that they have to warn you of? Like, oh, Lord, it's absolutely ridiculous. That was the first thing to me that was absolutely dumb. It starts off after that with the whale continuing to disintegrate because, Salem had to park the whale there, and whenever she could have just let it float. All right. And it starts to show that Salem is returning. I mean, my God, how long does it take for her to just come back? I mean, it's ridiculous. Then you have a lot of fights, and we'll start by talking about the Ironwood and Winter fight because, dear God, was it awful. I mean, this fight was just terrible. I mean, you have Ironwood who's just waving around this clunky machine of a gun, which it's just awful. Like, I don't know how anyone could really fight with something like that. And it's like I said before, it's like they've totally forgotten what RWBY even was. Because remember, in the older volumes, the weapons could change into other things. You could have had these pistols actually become this cannon and then reform back into the pistol, so you wouldn't have to have this clunky thing around the whole time instead of putting the pistols into the cannon to shoot from it. I mean, it's pretty awful. Like, it just looks terrible. And as for Winter, you would think this would be emotional for her because Ironwood took her in. He was like her father figure. You know what I mean? Like, this should be a pretty emotional moment for her, but no, instead they're just like, nah. Let's just take the emotion out of it because who the fuck's Ironwood? No, seriously, that's pretty much how they treat it. I mean, when you look at it, Jacques, which we never got any information on what he could have possibly done that was bad, so therefore, until anything actually shows up with it, I'm not going to believe he was a bad dad. And so, to me, there's nothing there. And Ironwood takes Winter in, she goes to the academy and she starts training, and he's like the father figure to her. That's basically what he was supposed to be. And, I mean, think about it. He trusted her so much that he was going to leave the maiden powers to her. I mean, that's a big thing. You wouldn't just do that with anybody. You know what I mean? Like, that would not just be anyone that you would select for that job. It would be somebody that you would really trust with this job. I mean, hell, as untrustworthy as Ozpin was, he proved that he could put some trust into Pyrrha to try and make her the maiden. Like, what is this? Like, I'm sorry, but what Winter did here, she just treated Ironwood as if he was the bad guy, so she didn't even hardly know who he was. Rather than trying to help him, rather than trying to do something for him, trying to say, hey, I care for you, this is what's going on, we're trying to save the people and evacuate them, try to save them from Atlas falling. Instead of that, it's just this, nah, hey, Ironwood, nah, screw you, Iron Man bad. This is abysmal. It is horrible. They basically gave Ironwood the Atom treatment, and he has not had one single good fight. Then you also have the Harriet and Crow fight, which is going on, which is pretty bad, because the whole point of the nuke is just worthless. Because at this point, people are getting evacuated. What's the point of the job anymore? Not only that, but the charm. You want to talk about cringe? The charm stopped the nuke from falling out of the ship. I mean, yeah, Clover's semblance was good luck, but Clover's dead. So the charm doing it, though, because it's supposed to be a lucky charm. Oh, God. That was cringe. Oh, man, that was so bad. It was horrible. And with Harriet and the whole development they were trying to give her, like, I don't like this. I don't like this because I don't care for these characters. Like the Aesops, they've not really given me a reason to care for any of these characters because they haven't even tried to develop them really. I mean, you could say, yeah, well, they tried to develop her last chapter, but it didn't hit home for me because it just feels too late by this point. I mean, yeah, Harriet does care about Clover, but it just doesn't work. You know, it's just, it feels like with all this time they could have had, they could have done it then, but they didn't do it. And then initiating the countdown, you see that Watts himself has actually hacked it to where it's going to blow up no matter what. So there's that. And we're going to get to Watts in a bit because there's something I'm going to say about Watts. So we'll get to that in a moment. But comes down to Vine having to sacrifice himself to ensure that nobody else dies. And I just want to bring this up. This is the big thing I want to bring. How in the hell, for one, does he have this much aura to be able to stop the explosion of a nuke? That's the first thing. That's the first thing that bothers me, is how does he have this much aura? Where did it come from? Like, this is so weird to me that he now has enough aura to protect everyone from a nuke. Also, with the blast radius of a nuke, I would still imagine it to blow through the aura and just continue the explosion. Like, I mean, I'm just saying. But, secondly, why should I care? Why should I honestly care about Vine's death? Because, like I said, he's another character that is just like a blank slate. They didn't really give you enough time to have his character grow and then, grow to like him, really. He's just kind of there. He's like a blank slate Lyrin. Like, Lyrin's like the better developed version of Vine. Like, if it had been Rin in the situation, I probably would have cared a lot more. But Vine, I don't really care about it. I mean, it just didn't feel great. Also, Weiss saves Penny, but yet, Weiss doesn't save Yang from falling. Does anybody see what the problem is here? Like, Weiss could have actually saved Yang from falling. Weiss, you're useless. You're just as useless as Blake is. Oh, God. Same with Ruby. You're just as useless as both of them. Oh, and then Neo and Ruby, this fight was kind of, wasn't really the best. It wasn't anything special, but you have Neo that's going to try to take down Ruby. And let me just say this. When Ruby gets pushed off, she uses her semblance to fly back and hit Neo to holding onto the edge. And she falls off and grabs onto the edge. Here's what I'm going to say about Ruby right now. Ruby is a sociopath. She is a monster. And the reason why she is so awful is because, think about it. She gets pushed off by Neo. Okay, right? Yeah. So she gets pushed off by Neo, uses her semblance to just fly back over there. Here's my question. Why the hell did she not do anything to save her own sister? Like, are you kidding me? Are you that awful? No, you know what? No, Ruby is that awful. I mean, seriously, she is that awful. She just let her own sister just fall. She let her sister just fall into the void because, now who cares about Yang, right? Like, no, seriously, who really does care about Yang? But, I mean, even her own sister, she just lets her own sister fall into the void and just get consumed by the Shadow Realm. Like, are you kidding me, Ruby? This goes to show how bad Ruby is of a character. Like, Yang would put her own life in danger to save her own sister, okay? But yet, Ruby is so self-centered that it's like, oh no, Yang fell. Like, she doesn't do anything. This is how awful of a character she is. Sometimes I even question if she even likes her own allies. I wonder if she actually even likes her own team. Because she wasn't willing to save them, so, there's that. But hey, credit given to Cinder, at least she shot Ruby in the back. And Ruby deserved it. But Neo then lifts her hand up for help, and instead of helping her, Cinder just goes for the relic instead. And this is what I gotta say about that. While she goes for the relic and betrays Neo, well, this is something that goes to prove that Cinder hasn't learned a damn thing. Then again, who's really surprised? It's Cinder. Then again, it's also Ruby, who really does learn anything. I mean, Cinder just says that, you shouldn't have threatened me, and then she says to Ruby, well, you shouldn't have been born. Okay, that second one I'll agree with. I'll agree to the second one, Cinder. You're right on that one. Because if you think about it, Ruby, what did she do? She is a terrorist. She destroyed a kingdom by herself. Like, had she never lied to Ironwood, none of this would have happened. But she lied, and she destroyed an entire country. It's all Ruby's fault. And then as for Neo, I do feel bad for Neo. Now, I know that some people are going to say, well, Neo decided to work with Cinder. This is her own fault. And you would be right. The only thing is that for me, I feel bad for Neo because she loses everything every single time. She lost Roman back in Volume 3, and then here she is working with Cinder for not the first time, but the second time. Because remember, she did work with Cinder back in Volume 2 and 3. And here she is getting betrayed by somebody that she decided to trust, which she was still skeptical on, but still she did. And in the end, yeah, it is her fault, but I still kind of feel for her. But it also regresses Cinder because, well, who thought that Cinder was going to develop anyways? But, well, we all knew Cinder wasn't going to develop. Thing is, Mercury, he even stated after he got promoted he wasn't going to listen to her anymore. And then Emerald has changed sides. God, that was such a terrible line on her part. And then Neo. Now she's betrayed Neo, so why would Neo come back and listen to her again? You know what I mean? So now Cinder has nobody. Also, they pulled the Volume 3 all over again. Because remember, Neo disappeared because she was sent flying on her umbrella. Well, now she fell into the void along with everybody else. So what I'm going to bet is going to happen, because Neo is such a popular character, I bet you right now they're going to have her join Team Terrorist. I mean, Team RWBY. Team RWBY. It's going to be a development arc for her. Oh, now I'm worried. Oh, God. That... I'm in fear of what they're going to do to Neo. I am. That puts fear in my mind. But also, you have Ruby and Blake falling into the void because, you know, they're stupid. Because anticipate stupidity from them. And Weiss using Gamble Shroud, the last half of it, you know, because the other half got chopped off by Cinder's flame. So, yeah, I don't know how that works with her using Mirtnaster. Like, that, this does not combo well with a weapon, like, at all. Like, weapon combination, it doesn't work. I don't see why she'd do that. Also, Jean comes in there to think that he's gonna fight. You know, here's my problem with this. Like, him coming in there to fight, it doesn't make so much sense as much as it would if he was actually being support. Now, let me explain. Back in Volume 5, when he was emotionally distraught, when he was out of it in just full rage mode towards Cinder over Pyrrha, that makes sense. But this doesn't make sense for Jean, in my opinion. It doesn't really work. It makes him kind of look stupid, if you'd ask me. Now, when it comes to the scene where you see the fire being spread to be a distraction and then Penny gets hit, I don't understand why Penny didn't just fly up during that. I get what was going on here, where Cinder was trying to distract everybody, but Penny didn't have to be that stupid and just sit there and go, well, what's going on, Stab? Like, are you kidding me? Like, man, it's just so dumb. She could fly with her maiden powers. I don't understand why she just stood there like, oh no, what's happening? Like, fly up and look. I mean, it didn't have to be that dumb. But then again, of course, this scene as well, by the way, is basically Volume 5, yet again, all over again. And Cinder's trying to steal the maiden powers. Another recycled idea, of course. And Jean decides to start to heal Penny, and then Penny tells Jean, oh no, you don't have enough time, you won't be able to make it. How does she know this? How does she know that Jean cannot heal her in time and that she's going to die? She's no longer an android, so she can't come up with this calculation in her mind because, like I said, she's not an android. She doesn't know that. Jean also at the same time has improved upon his abilities because we've seen him train since the time that he has unlocked his semblance. So how does Penny know that? Secondly, why was Jean stupid enough to stop using his semblance to heal her? This is like Volume 5 all over again. When Jean was healing Weiss, and then Ruby just takes his hands and takes them off like healing Weiss, and she goes, whatever you're doing, don't stop. And then she removes his hands like, what? What? I mean, seriously. Like, I remember that scene all too well. It was so stupid because it's like, he's healing her. Why would you remove his hands? But this time, Jean does it by himself. He doesn't need Ruby to remove his hands this time. Like, Jean, how stupid are you? And so Penny decides, hey, look, you know, I want you to just go ahead and end my life, you know, so I can transfer the powers. And what's pretty bad about this right here is this could have worked if there had been a scene between Pity and Jean prior to this. Like, say they had a scene, and say it had to do with him thinking about the death of Amber in the past, or how Pyrrha died, and he's thinking about the responsibility of, trying to protect the maiden, and then this becomes a conflict for him, like that. But they never did anything to make the scene work, so the scene just falls flat, and he kills Penny, and I was just like, this is terrible. I mean, this is a horrible scene. But hey, when you think about it, back in Volume 4, Jean's weapons were recrafted, right, with Pyrrha's armor. Well, you know what's kind of funny when you think about it? He used that very blade to kill Penny. So in a sense, she died again by Pyrrha, technically. I mean, she didn't, but it's the armor. It's kind of hilarious when you think about it. Even though Pyrrha didn't kill her again, it's just kind of funny when you think about it, because Penny died by Pyrrha the first time. And Penny's finally dead. Again. But you see, with her constantly dying and coming back, like, this is like, what, the third time now that she's died and come back? So, Penny, her death just doesn't really hold meaning like it would back in Volume 3 when she did die then, because it was like she wasn't going to come back. I mean, the one thing that really holds merit to it is at the end of Volume 3, when Pyrrha dies. Pyrrha has died and she stayed gone. It's like there was a consequence to the death of Pyrrha. When it comes to Penny, it doesn't really feel like there was a consequence to her character death. Because when she's constantly brought back, well, you don't feel anything. Pyrrha, you felt something, because like I said, she didn't come back and there was no chance of her coming back. So she's gone. Now, of course, if they were to decide to cheat death and instead have her come back through Ambrosius somehow, which, God, I hope that doesn't happen. But, if it does, well, then the whole entire bit in Volume 3 of her death would be pointless. But Penny's death, to me, is absolutely pointless. I feel nothing from it. I mean, yeah, she's permadead, but I still feel nothing from it. Also, we got to see the Maiden powers transferred, and for some reason, Winter was wearing this. I mean, she is wearing her outfit from Volume 7 for some bizarre reason. I mean, why is she wearing that? I mean, she should be wearing what she's currently wearing. While Winter's now wearing her Volume 7 outfit in this whole, like, dreamlike state, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what? How does that work? But, okay, sure. But the thing that I like about this is that it actually shows how the powers are transferred, because we've never seen how they're exactly transferred when one thinks of another. And so to see this scene, I actually thought was pretty good for itself. This is probably the one thing I will at least give credit to, because like I said, we've never seen the transferred powers work in terms of like how it works with one character thinking of the other. So it's good to actually see that this is how it works. But to me, this was probably the only really good scene, or at least one of the only good ones. So I'll give him props on that. That was at least a good scene. So there's that. Then, of course, Winter gets the powers, and then, like I said, she just beats Ironwood as if it was no big deal, as if there's no attachment to his character whatsoever, which I absolutely hated that. I mean, it's like you go from a pretty good moment to just a terrible one. Like, oh, I hated it. I hated that moment. And then let's talk about Cinder and the Blade for a minute. Cinder breaks Jean's sword, but I question this because how does glass break steel? No, seriously, how does glass break steel? I question how her blade actually breaks his. I don't understand. Hers is made out of glass. His is steel. I don't see how Cinder's blade breaks his. But okay. But what I think this is going to lead into in the next volume, it will probably lead into the mystery of Penny's death, and how it's going to be an arc where they find out about Jean actually killing Penny, which Weiss knows, but yeah, I think that'll be something for RWBY, or at least it could be, but watch it not happen because it's the writers and I don't expect them to do something developing characters. But hey, yeah, I'm just saying. And then you have the Winter versus Cinder fight, because, Winter has become the Winter Maiden, which I will say they should have done this the whole time. Penny never should have got the powers, but hey, that's just me. But secondly, yeah, Cinder loses this fight. No, I'm not even kidding. Cinder loses this fight yet again. It's basically Volume 5 all over again, where Raven beats Cinder. And the thing is, where that one actually works is that Raven is an experienced huntress. Not only that, but she had also had the maiden powers for quite some time. Therefore, this makes sense that she would be somebody to be able to actually defeat Cinder because of her experience and knowledge also with the powers, as well as her skills. Now, on the other hand, Winter facing off against Cinder, when Cinder has had the maiden powers longer than Winter has, it doesn't really work in that area, in my opinion. So, and also when Cinder beat Winter and now Winter just wins, I mean, that doesn't make sense. So Cinder also blows Weiss off the edge, and that is obviously to distract Winter so that she could basically get away with the relic. Winter then tries to go in to save Weiss, only for her to actually fail. Now, I'll say this. This is what I like about this moment. It shows the emotion that Winter actually has for Weiss, that she cares for her own sister. That is a good thing. That is something that she should have, is this feeling of depression when losing her sister, thinking that her sister is dead. You know, this is something that RWBY should have also felt when Yang fell off into the Shadow Realm. I mean, this is what RWBY should have felt, at least in her own reaction, like reacting in her own way, but instead she just is like, oh, bye, Yang. Like, this is what I mean by Winter is the better sister. Absolutely better sister than RWBY. 100%, because at least Winter cares. RWBY just cares about RWBY. She doesn't care about anyone else, anyone around her. Nobody matters. You know, RWBY just cares about herself. As opposed to Winter, how she actually cares for others. And this is why I like Winter, because she feels like more of a real person that people could possibly relate to rather than RWBY, at least in the regards of caring for her own sister. Also, I just wanted to point out that when Cinder immediately goes through the portal, I mean, you can go back on the scene, like immediately she goes through the portal just disappears. So I would have to guess, because we know in the scene that she uses the staff, I would have to guess that she just used it right as she got out of the portal. Now, some people could say that's a nitpick, but I was just like, that seemed a bit sudden. You know, like, I would think that she would land there and then use it, but I guess maybe she was floating. I don't know. They don't show us the scene because they tried to keep it mysterious as to what Cinder wanted, and what Cinder requests for Ambrosius to create is actually pretty stupid. But the timing also, whenever Cinder uses the flame to erupt under Jean, and why Jean could have healed Weiss's aura in between all of that time, not just like when the flame came from under them to blow Weiss off the edge, but he could have healed her right before that happened, but apparently not. Oh well, whatever. I mean, so dumb. And then Winter goes through the portal, and Jean doesn't make it because, you know, Jean's gonna get isekai'd along with the rest of them because he's the main character. Ugh. So now the soy boy limp dig beta cuck's gonna be in the next volume as a pretty big important character. Great. Yeah. Seriously, whenever I was hoping Team Juniper would be out of a volume, I was hoping, but no, just gotta leave the worst one of them to be in the volume. It's pretty atrocious. And then Winter cries, not because of her father's death, even though she doesn't know whether he's dead or not. She cries because she thinks Weiss is dead, and doesn't even tell her family. And, you know, I gotta say, though, with Weiss becoming the Winter Maiden, I mean, this is something that should have happened the whole time. She should have been the Winter Maiden the whole entire time. And seeing that now she gets it, like, I feel like this is what should have happened at the end of last volume. She should have just became the Winter Maiden. And you wouldn't have had to worry about Penny and all the stupid stuff they did with that. Wouldn't have had to worry about it. As for Cinder, let's talk about this. Let's get to, like, the whole big Cinder bit, okay? So Cinder, of course, she gets away with everything. And then you have the stupid smoke monster from Lost. Oh, no, wait, that's Salem. Oh, what's the difference? They're both pretty awful, and so was Lost. God, I hate Jar Jar Abrams. Anyways, you have Cinder basically being herself by trying to lie to Salem, saying that, oh no, you know, I failed and I'm sorry, and that Team RWBY were the ones who used the lamp, and so now they don't have another question they can ask, because, you know, the final one was used up. And obviously what she used with the staff was to actually kill off Watts. And so that's when Salem goes into asking Cinder, oh, hey, you know, what did you make with the staff? And it's the stupidest thing. Then again, it's the writers from RWBY. Nobody expected it to be smart. So she's like, oh, yeah, I added to the flames of Atlas, you know, just burning everything alive. Like, Why would you ask for... Okay, first off, why would you ask for flames? Secondly, not only did she ask for flames to burn it, but how did she get the schematics for Atlas so that Ambrosius knows to burn Atlas? Because she has to show him that. He says by instruction that he has to have, schematics or something to show him. So how did she show him Atlas? You know what I mean? Also, with Watts being dead, now we'll never know the secret behind him and Jacques and how they do each other. And basically anything else that was there, it's all just gone. It doesn't exist anymore. Like, they just rushed into killing Watts. Terrible. Trash. I mean, it's just terrible. Ironwood himself decides he's going to shoot him. And look, what doesn't make sense is he just stops. Like, he just stops. His semblance makes him carry out any decision that he makes till it's complete. So why would he just stop? Why would he not shoot? You see what I mean? Like, this makes absolutely no sense for him. And they basically just gave him the Adam treatment. He is Adam 2.0. 100%. They ruined this character. Like, they took a great character and they made him absolute trash because they wanted the audience to hate him. It's absolutely frustrating, and I really hate what they did to Ironwood. I absolutely hate it. Also, did Cinder deserve her win? No, she she didn't deserve her win in the slightest. Like, Cinder did not deserve her win, and that's the thing about Cinder was, okay, so she won in the end with quotations, obviously, but she lost to Winter. Real original plot there. It's not like she's lost to a Maiden before, or twice for that matter. Like, God. You want to talk about abysmal. Cinder does not deserve her win. She really doesn't. So, yeah, she could have beaten Winter, but decided not to let that happen. It's just so dumb to me. And then again, you have Salem and Cinder just fly away. Like, whenever... I couldn't help but laugh at this terrible scene because it just looks so bad just seeing them fly away like that. Like, I don't know. There's something about the way that it's made that just looks so terrible to me that I couldn't help but just laugh at it. It looks so bad, like just them flying away the way that it just looks awful. But then let's get to the one thing that really frustrates me about this. The one thing that's insulting to me is that, remember, Atlas is seen as a futuristic militarized America. Right? And it falls. This is basically what Team RWBY did. They basically destroyed an entire country, and it's like the writers were saying that they would let their own country fall. To me, this is extremely disgusting, and I can't stand this. Not only that, but do you even see any of the Atlesian soldiers within the crowd of people that were trying to escape? No, you don't. So we're going to get dark here for a minute, because it seems as if Team RWBY just left them to die. Because, I mean, you see all the water flood in after Atlas has already collapsed on top of Mantle. So, basically, if there was anybody left, they're dead. And it's all because Team RWBY wanted to take an entire country and just help them get away from the country they were in, destroy their entire culture, destroy their entire history, destroyed it all. Just destroyed it. This is what Team RWBY did. They have a body count. Like, when you think about it. All of them. This includes Crow. This includes Rob and Hillary Clinton. They all did this. And by the way, Rob and Hillary Clinton should be dead. I cannot stand this character. Like, she is just abysmal. She is terrible for the series. I can't stand her. She's not done a single thing that has at least impacted the series in a positive way. She has been nothing but a disaster. Abysmal character. Absolutely abysmal. But also what I have to say is this. Now by having all these people from another country just jump into Vacuo, the whole entire kingdom, well, this is going to thin out the resources of Vacuo. This is going to suck for Vacuo, because now they're going to have one big homeless problem. Now they're going to have a bunch of people that are going to be coming in to try to basically just take from them. I mean, when you think about it, RWBY has also made all these people homeless. Every single last one of them, taking them from their homes. They're all homeless. And it's all because of RWBY. Look at what she did. Not only has she destroyed an entire country, but she's left people entirely homeless. Yeah, this is your hero, everybody. Oh my dear God. What the hell, man? Like, oh. But then, of course, the Shadow Realm apparently sends everybody to Destiny Island from Kingdom Hearts. No, I'm serious. It looks just like like, it looks like Destiny Island from Kingdom Hearts. I'm not even joking with you. Like, that's basically where it sends you. Because remember, everybody, don't fall into the void. Because if you do, you get to go and have fun. Because we can't let you have fun with this show. No, 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 no. No, you can't have fun. Don't fall into the void. Oh, God. Like, oh, man. I don't know. Like, it feels like they took this out of Kingdom Hearts. It really does. Oh, man. This is what's going to happen. They're probably all going to get new outfits. And, oh, my God. It's, oh, man. It just looks like it's going to be a mess. But, hey, everybody, get ready. Possible Dio redemption arc. Oh, boy, am I terrified of that. But anyways, how do I feel about this chapter? It's a damn mess. Oh, God. Just like the rest. It is a mess. Like, that's the thing. You could tell that this was entirely rushed. You could tell that just these last few just chapters in general have just been a rush disaster. And, you can feel it. Like, it's just, you watch it, you can definitely tell that they don't know where they were going. And they really didn't. They could have had moments that could have led up to Jean, for example, having to make the difficult choice of killing Penny. They could have had ideas with, like, Pyrrha and talking about that, maybe, or talk about how he failed with the previous Maiden defending her, and then, of course, leading it to Cinder getting the powers and then Pyrrha dying. There could have been something into that, and there could have been a moment for Penny and Jean to actually talk, except he's been irrelevant for like 2 whole volumes, so now for him to have this decision, it just doesn't work. I mean, they had the opportunity to make it happen, and then they don't. See what I mean by this is pretty awful? You take the scene out of context, yeah, it could probably be seen as an emotional moment, but you put it in the context that it's supposed to be in, and you just don't feel anything. Also, Penny should have just been dead. She should never have come back in the first place. In fact, why even give her the maiden powers if Winter was going to get them? You know what I mean? Like, what did that realistically do for Penny other than actually get her killed? It didn't. It didn't do anything for Penny, really. So, yeah, it feels like everything with Penny here just kind of fell apart. I mean, it feels like that. Cinder's win doesn't feel like it was earned. In fact, they just had her repeat the same process where she loses to another maiden yet again. It's pretty abysmal that, she is, what, 3-1 because she took down one maiden and that's it, as opposed to the others, like Raven, Penny, and then Winter, she loses to each of them. So really, yeah, she just loses every time. So it's like the stale old tactic of constantly losing for her. RWBY is a sociopath. I mean, it's just plain and simple. Winter at least had emotion when Weiss fell to her death. RWBY's just like, oh, bye, Yang. Like, RWBY is awful. She's just so terrible. And now when you think about it, Atlas falling and everything, that just adds more to the body count of Team RWBY and how truly they are the real antagonists of the story. They are not the heroes. They are the villains. I mean, they truly are. Ironwood, like I said, Adam 2.0, they just treated him with no care, no concern. Nobody tried to tell him that they were saving Mantle and Atlas. Nobody, not even Winter. And that is the disappointing part. They just let him die. They just threw him aside and said, no, screw this guy, he's awful. All it was Iron Man bad. I mean, they just treated him like he was the worst person whenever he was trying to do what he felt was right for the people. I mean, Ironwood, they treated him like he was the worst, and I absolutely hate that. I hate it for him. There will never be a resolution for Jacques and his family. There will never be development for Weiss, Winter, Whitley, or Willow. So that'll never happen because he's dead. So there's that. Watts is dead, so, anything with him just doesn't matter. Now there's only 4 villains. Cinder, Salem, Mercury, and Tyrion. Only 2 out of 4 of those villains are actually interesting. That being Mercury and Tyrion. And while I do like Cinder, don't get me wrong, the writing for a character is abysmal. It is trash. It is straight up garbage. So, yeah, in terms of her being a villain, in comparison to how she was at least interesting, in my opinion, back in the first 3 volumes, not anymore. Not anymore. Even somewhat in Volume 4, but then Volume 5 and onward, she's just terrible. So that's not something interesting to me. Seeing that the heroes are all basically on Destiny Island playing Kingdom Hearts now, we're going to see Ruby basically try to become the Keymaster, and then she's not going to care for anybody and let everyone else die while she goes to steal all the keys. Oh, God. I swear. Oh, God, I hate Ruby so much. Like, I hate the protagonist more than I do the antagonist, I'll be real with you. And I also have to say, poor Neo. I mean, realistically, she got treated dirty this volume. I mean, she really did. Oh, I'm still proud of her for kicking Yang out of the rest of the volume, but still. Poor Neo. She gets treated awful. Oh, also, Pietro and Maria are off to the moon. They're dead in space. Screw them both. Don't care for either one of them. Fuck them. But yeah, this volume is a complete and total disaster. It was rushed. You could tell they didn't know where they were going with it, and it's uncreative as can be. It's just a disaster of a volume yet again. But anyways, let me know what you think about this entire chapter down below. Subscribe to the channel if you were new here. Make sure you were still subscribed because YouTube is unsubscribing people from all their favorite channels. So make sure you were still subscribed to all your favorite channels. Hit the video with a like, and also be sure to share the video on social media. Spread the word and get it out there. It's greatly appreciated, and it really helps out the channel a lot. Also, be sure to follow me on Discord. We have a wonderful community there. Not only that, but it will keep you up to date on when the newest videos will be released, as well as any other upcoming events in the near future. So be sure to follow me on Discord. The link is in the description down below. But anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow could always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.